Everyone, welcome back to another live show here on Forever United TV. I'm Adam. Let's bring you completely up to date with all of your Manchester United news going around on and off the pitch. We've got injury updates, more on what we spoke about last night with Benjamin Šeško, the implications of that and Manchester United's transfer window as well. In particular, Joshua Zirkzee leaving the football club this January. Mainoo's future at Manchester United. Manchester United going head-to-head with Brighton for Moussa, the young Greek midfielder. We've touched on all of this before, but there's updates on all of these stories just this morning. Want to bring you up to date with as well. Get into the live chat if you are live with us this morning, everybody. Give me your thoughts on this, and of course, get into the comment section below if you are playing catch up later on. If you're loving the content and the complete updates every single day, then please pop a like on the video and hit that subscribe button as well, everybody. And let's get into the news, and let's start talking first of all. That's injury update yesterday. So we were told, and it broke live while we was on the show last night. So if you didn't watch last night's show, it was a little bit of an earlier show. We did it because I was out last night at a meeting for the league. But the news came through that Joshua Zirkzee is going to be out for at least a month. But then that changed last night to Manchester United giving a full update, and even Sky Sports changing their story around the timeline. So it's like Manchester United's news has come out, then United have gone back to Sky or something like this and briefed them again, saying that it's not at least a month, it's maximum a month. Then we had an update from Sully, we had an update from Laurie Whitwell and the Athletic going with the 3 to 5 weeks, trying to cover themselves, of course, to make sure that they don't look silly, and most people do this anyway. But Sully out with the most important one, and usually is the man that we would go to regarding injury news and sort of inside scoops around Carrington anyway on certain players. And he is saying that Benjamin Šeško is going to be out for a maximum 2 to 3 weeks. So clearly this isn't a bad injury. God knows what type of injury this is for a knee. I don't know enough about that part of the body. All I know is that the scary stuff with knee injuries and the ones that we all fear as fans that have our players out for months on end. But back within 2 to 3 weeks, obviously that then would be well and truly before the January transfer window even opens. And that obviously then poses the question as to the future of Joshua Zirkzee in particular. We'll touch on Mainoo, but Zirkzee is a very important story this morning. First, before we get into Zirkzee, let's just say how happy we are that this isn't a bad injury and we have got Benjamin Šeško back in December, which is massive. Like, we should be having him back in the first couple of weeks of December when the fixtures start to pile up. So this is really good news for Manchester United. And look, we can talk about Joshua Zirkzee Mainoo's futures, but ultimately, we don't want a player to be out for a long period of time injured. We want Benjamin Šeško to come back and be Man United's main striker and really start to gather up some momentum and get some form. So the fact that he is going to be fit for the fixture pile up over December is fantastic news for us. So let's just get that straight. Of course, I don't want him to be out. I would prefer every player to be fit and ready to go. So we've got multiple options. So Šeško, first of all, great news. 2 to 3 weeks, that's not bad at all. I think United can cope with that, in particular before AFCON starts. And the importance of that is there as well, really, when you need more options when them games come up. But the implications of him not being... Look, let's just remember this. Like, we were planning the January window. We were planning the future of Manchester United with Šeško being fit. So it's not really changed much. The question was posed because Zirkzee might have been seen to be having a chance because Šeško could have been out for a prolonged period of time. Knee injuries, concerns, worries, and obviously you're then starting to think, right, how long is he going to be out for? Great chance for Zirkzee to come in particular, maybe in a 10 role or even a 9 where he has sometimes played as well. Not the case. I actually don't see Zirkzee even coming in now with Šeško out in this next 3 weeks. That's the point I'm trying to make. With your actual number 9 out, I know Zirkzee's not going to start. And look, I'm not saying that bullishly or arrogantly or anything like that, like I know what's going to happen behind the scenes, but come on. Even when Šeško has been on the bench, Zirkzee hasn't started. And this is going to tell us a lot. If you have lost your number 9, and the only other player in Man United's squad who has featured in that 9 position before, you could argue Cunha, but he's only just come in. But the other one, because we would prefer Cunha in at 10, of course, the only other player there is Joshua Zirkzee. And if he's not starting, then It's the end of the road, surely. I've put a poll up in the chat this morning. Would you let Joshua Zirkzee go in January? The answers on the poll, or the responses you could give, are no, we need squad depth, or yes, he's just not going to play. And at the moment, is 59% overwhelming no, we need squad depth. I'm going to ask the question to you all again, and I'm not trying to convince you to change your mind on that poll, but when is Zirkzee going to play? Kobbie Mainoo's ahead of him in that number 10 role. And if he starts Cunha, well, let's just say it this way. If Cunha starts at 9 on Monday night, what's that going to tell you? I think that's the key. If he features at all and starts in any of these games, Zirkzee, over the next 3 weeks while Šeško is out, then I'll give you that. And you know what? I'm keeping Zirkzee. I'll keep him as an option. But the way I'm looking at it right now is I don't see him starting. I don't think he's going to get ahead of certain players. He's not ahead of Mount, he's not ahead of Mainoo, and he's definitely not ahead of Cunha and Mbeumo. And to be honest, Bruno Fernandes could be pushed further forward into that role as well. And of course, that means that Mainoo might then feature in midfield, or Ugarte and Casemiro, double defensive pivots potentially for Manchester United if they wanted to play it safe. Zirkzee's got one position to fight for, I feel, and that's going to be a number 10, and I'm sorry, there's just too many of them. There's too many of them. I could actually see Bruno being pushed further forward rather than starting Joshua Zirkzee. And I'm only going off what we've seen so far. It is 11 games and 0 starts for Joshua Zirkzee. And Šeško sometimes hasn't even started a game. So this, I think, with Šeško coming back, even if United were considering keeping Joshua Zirkzee in January because we've lost our main number 9, I think this is going to then really push United forward, because we spoke about transfer windows being open and an opportunity being there for Manchester United to potentially strengthen the squad in January. We've got more on this in a moment, actually, regarding the midfield area. But let's just look at the forward positions for the time being. Let's look at where Joshua Zirkzee would play, what Manchester United could do. If United, for instance, wanted to let Joshua Zirkzee go, there are a few teams that are in for a loan with him. We know that Manchester United feel comfortable and confident that Joshua Zirkzee would fetch his value back from what we paid for him. Maybe not the full amount, but we're gonna completely clear what debt we've got on Joshua Zirkzee, no problem whatsoever. Selling Joshua Zirkzee could open the door to the news we broke yesterday of Antoine Semenyo coming into Manchester United. It's a far cry, it's a long way off, and it looks like Liverpool are favourites for Semenyo. I admitted that last night, and that's painful to see on its own. But if United were going to be open to bringing in a potential forward and needed that depth, I would go and get Semenyo in and at least have that extra cover at wing back, potentially on that left-hand side, another option for you there, and keep Mainoo, for instance, and let Zirkzee go. Look, if United are stubbornly going to try and hold out like Mark Ogden from ESPN said last night, and not bring anybody in January, which concerns me, at least go and take the opportunity to buy Semenyo. I mean, look, he might have his heart set on Liverpool. He might want to play the Champions League and compete for a title. I get it. I do. I get that. And I think United have to be 100% certain that he would want to come to us. So that being said, would that be the only way you would sell Joshua Zirkzee? If someone wants to come in for him and pay money for him in January, I'm letting him go. You cannot keep a player if the offer's on the table. Now, obviously, if it's a loan, it's a different look for Manchester United. But maybe there's a loan with an option or an obligation where that could then help United, like these reports are saying, really go to town on their possible midfield targets come the summer. And more money coming in. Like, you've got your Rashford money, you've got your Rasmus Højlund money. You then could have Joshua Zirkzee money also. It's all piling up and giving United a real chance to go out and invest that money in the summer transfer window, which is what we're supposedly trying to save ourselves to do in terms of not buying somebody who's not worth it in January and spending it all on the big guns in summer. That's the story that went out last night anyway. But still, think of the player. Think of Joshua Zirkzee as a player. Think of him as and what his stance is on this, and him just wanting to play football. He is not going to play under Ruben Amorim. It's quite clear. Coming up to a third of the way through the season, he's not started one game. I don't understand why Manchester United would want to keep him, particularly with the likes of Shea Lacey coming through the ranks as well. You're not really concerned about keeping hold of Joshua Zirkzee for depth, surely, if you've never used him so far this season. And this is, like I said before, with also having Benjamin Šeško on the bench as well. You'd expect Joshua Zirkzee to be the main man to come forward. No. And this is where I'm at right now. And I said it a minute ago, I'm not looking to convince anybody that we should be selling Joshua Zirkzee. I'm just trying to keep my real cap on here. And I'm more excited about Šeško not being out for too long and Joshua Zirkzee. I'm not. It sounds horrible to say it again, but my main concern is Šeško. I'm not really bothered too much about Zirkzee because I can clearly see that our manager, who we're backing, doesn't want to use him. So, and I'm going to be honest now, if I was looking for another option at number 10, and we were down to the bare bones, and say, for instance, I had to pick between Kobbie Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee, I'm going with Kobbie Mainoo. Look, Zirkzee has certain qualities. Kobbie only fits in at number 10. If it came to a push, I think we've got 2 10s there. Forget the midfield. Forget the striker. Zirkzee and Mainoo are 10s. And that's the only position that they're going to play under this current manager, Ruben Amorim. And they're the facts, from what we've seen so far anyway. So I look at Zirkzee and I'm just like, let the guy go and play football, please. Somebody go and have a word with Ruben and say, look, let Joshua Zirkzee leave. You know what? If we could get money for him, it's going to go towards the bigger picture and maybe go towards a midfielder that we desperately need. Because we have got an update coming in on Conor Gallagher as well. And that, I think, is where Manchester United should be prioritising, I feel, anyway, because the bigger picture is the midfields. Like in number 10 positions, if we lose Zirkzee, it's no big deal. But if we lose Zirkzee and then he goes towards funding the new midfield and the rebuild there, that makes complete sense for Manchester United. Let's get some early thoughts in on this in the live comment section, everyone. Get your thoughts in, please. Give me what you're thinking right now in this moment with Zirkzee. The poll is definitely majority, 57% saying they don't want to let Zirkzee go. Okay, let's get some comments in on that. Let's add a bit of context to that. Hi Adam and everyone. What's the use of keeping Zirkzee if you're playing alternative players ahead of him? If Šeško is not available, he must leave. That's a super chat in there. Thank you very much for that. Sorry, it's just gone off my screen. That's come from Lee. Thank you, Lee, for that one. So, are we buying Semenyo or not? 65 million release clause. Al, I wish we was, mates. I would jump at the opportunity to bring him in. I really would. Stephen says, if Casemiro, Bruno, Maguire, Shaw, Dalot, Ugarte, Sancho, Rashford and Arna all leave in the summer, United will need loads of replacements, but couldn't see it happening. 5 or 6 new players needed. I said 4 to 5 minimum in the summer for Manchester United. Certain positions, 3 midfielders, definitely another wing-back and another striker. They would be my 4 to 5 players for Manchester United. That's where I'm going to just throw full investment in. We spoke yesterday morning regarding the goalkeeping situation. That now officially put to bed with potential return of Vitek coming in to challenge Senna Lamens. No more money being spent. Manchester United have 2 goalkeepers that cost a grand total of 18 million quid, and they're both miles ahead of £47 million stupid investment Andre Onana. This is the difference, like I was saying last night, between where United were and where United are now. Within 2 years of Ineos, this is the situation with the goalkeepers. Look where it was before. So I have confidence that there is a plan there regarding the midfield area and the likes of Zirkzee, but still, it is important to remember that where we do like players and we do think that they should be given a chance, and certain players have had way too much game time compared to others, there's the unfair the conversation that we could always have, for instance, Zirkzee and Mainoo over Bruno, who hasn't been great at certain moments this season. There is, some people would argue that Mason Mount is behind Kobbie Mainoo. There's a lot to debate, but look, we have to just, I think, at this point now, heading into the back end of November, coming up now to December, ahead of the window opening, I think we have to be real and look at who is going to play. Zirkzee Mainoo or not. and with Šeško now coming back from that injury a lot quicker, then I just think it's all over. I honestly, and I think if Shea Lacey does make his mark, I think he will probably be pushed ahead of Joshua Zirkzee, because Ruben Amorim reportedly really likes Shea Lacey and he's pushing him through on his own sort of time scale. Like, he is taking this under his own personal interest alongside Jason Wilcox to promote Shea Lacey and bring him through. If you've got someone like that coming through and the management team is right behind it, then you kind of think that it's writing on the wall time for Zirkzee again. And it sounds like I'm just compiling this big list of reasons why Joshua Zirkzee should be out of the door at Manchester United. I actually like his attitude. I like what he brought to the team last season. I thought the United fan base was a disgrace when they booed him off, that particular section of fans that is, in the stadium against Newcastle last season. And what he came back from that moment, I feel he deserves massive credit for. And he was one of Man United's good players towards the back end until he was injured against Newcastle. So it's not like I've got anything against him. I just feel like what we did in the summer and where we're at right now clearly is telling us one thing, and that's surplus to requirements. It's use that money to invest where we really need it. Proper football club business. If we have injuries, we could get Semenyo. He would cover all across the front line and the wing back potentially, maybe. Big shout out to Stu as well. I seen him on the beach on his jollies at the right at the moment over in Australia, and making his mark in the sand there. Printing out FUTV in the sand, sent a picture across, so credit to him. He's flying the FUTV flag all the way across the other side of the world for us right now. Good on you, Stu. Cunha will start at 9 on Monday with Mount and Mbeumo at 10s, I think, says Welsh Red. I'm pretty much with you on that one there. I think that would be the one that, if you were guessing, are you going to hazard a guess as to what the lineup might be? I think that would be as close as you could get to it. Semenyo plays wing-back and striker and number 10s for us, says Al. Liverpool aren't favourite. Stop believing the papers. It's not the papers. Who reads the papers anymore, Glenn? Who exactly is he going to replace? 150 million. Yeah, I've said all of that last night, mate. You might have missed the video last night. I made a point of arguing why he shouldn't go to Liverpool because of the players in front of him. But maybe this is the natural replacement for Mo Salah on the right-hand side because he plays there as well. So, yeah, look, I think United should go and push for him. I do. I'm not saying that he is going to go to Liverpool. It just looks like the noises are all moving towards that way. But if United come in, surely that's going to turn his head a little bit. I think Manchester United are miles behind the top 4 teams. I mean, like squad size and depth. If United get injuries, it could be a very bad season, but hoping not. Well, less games, Stephen, to play. Obviously, less chance of that happening, but never say never. Obviously, injuries can come at any point. I mean, look at Benjamin Šeško. Luckily for us, it looks like Šeško's not going to be out long. Maguire's already on the way back, and Casemiro's playing brilliantly for internationals, which was the other injury concern from the last game against Spurs. So, yeah, I feel like we're in a comfortable position still, even with Šeško out. I think United have options, and I think there is a good opportunity here to see something a bit different. And let's be honest, like Mason Mount has done nothing wrong, I don't think, in his time this season for Manchester United when featuring. And I've got no issue with Mount coming in, maybe playing a false 9, a Cunha, whatever it may be. Cunha, Mount and Mbeumo in up front for Man United is not a bad option for us right now. And look, it's the same front three that were playing at the start of the season. They really just didn't have the shooting boots on against Arsenal, but they did dominate Arsenal in that opening game. So we've seen them work together before, and I think we've had good results from it. So not totally concerned. And like we said, top of the show, 2 to 3 weeks for Šeško, then he's back, and it's not really that big a deal now, is it? It really isn't. And now United are looking forward again. So, yeah, brilliant updates. Great news on that. And, of course, the debate will rumble on into what Manchester United are going to do in January. Now, on the January transfer window and the updates on the midfield, let's move on to that now and then get this conversation going, because Sean Conley came out with a report last night saying that the stories around Conor Gallagher are not true in terms of where we're at. So look, I said this last night, you've got journalists arguing against each other at the moment, with one story being he's coming and wants to leave, another story saying that's not quite true. Like, who do you believe at this point? Manchester United would be open to take Conor Gallagher on loan in January with an option to buy. Now, the other story coming out against that was that Atletico don't want to loan him. And the only way that Conor Gallagher leaves Atletico Madrid is if a bid comes in. And a bid of around 35-40 million might get Atletico tempted into moving Conor Gallagher on. From the player's side of things, he has been talking and opening up to Spanish media, saying he isn't satisfied with his game time. Of course he's not. He was saying that in a sense like every player wants to play more games. And so he was covering all angles with what he said. And, of course, he just wants to feature more and contribute and win trophies at Atletico Madrid. He's just saying what a player would say in that situation. And I feel like Conor Gallagher, if he didn't get more game time, then, of course, he would have to start thinking about maybe moving, because he wants to be in the England setup. He's going to struggle to get in that England setup because of the players and the quality that there is in Tuchel's side already. And I think a decision will come in another 6 weeks when that window opens. It's a long time. And if he doesn't feature much in that time for Atletico Madrid, then maybe his decision will be made up and he will look to make that move. But where it is at the moment, there is contrasting reports. United would be open for a loan. Romano has said that United tried to get him on loan. That wasn't happening. Atletico want to sell. That's looking likely. But it's with Manchester United right now in a sense that, again, bringing Joshua Zirkzee back. If we sell Joshua Zirkzee, could we then go out and invest into that midfielder in Conor Gallagher if they see him as a long-term option? This is the thing. If United were going to offer Gallagher a contract on loan and then have an option or an obligation to buy him, then you would have thought Manchester United did see him as a longer-term option, and going into next season could be a player that featured for Manchester United again. So why wouldn't you go out and spend that money in January if, of course, you had the money to spend? Because they're only going to buy players, like Ruben said, that are long-term options for Manchester United. No quick fixes, so no loans, no straightforward loans, as you call them, with no obligations and options to buy. It's just going to be a player that will, like I said, loan with a permanent fee at the end of it. That's it. Or buy him now in January. That's where we're at with Conor Gallagher right now. And I think it's the same with João Gomez. The report last night was that Manchester United are willing to spend 44 million, I think the report was. Very specific in terms of the price on that, which always makes me question it. But yeah, I know that United are interested in João Gomez. I know there's interest in Conor Gallagher, and there's full-on interest in Manchester United upgrading their midfield in January, but definitely at the moment looking awkward with just the loans. So let's just see how that develops again, whether Conor Gallagher's future goes a certain pathway in the next few weeks and that changes. A long time and a lot of football to play before January opens, so I think we'll all be keeping an eye on certain players' game time going into that January window. And of course, like we said yesterday morning, there is always a chance that Brighton might change their stance with Carlos Baleba, as what Romano said. Look, he did say it with a sort of with a tone of it's a highly unlikely outcome, but you never know. Brighton might change their stance on Carlos Baleba, and he might become available in the January transfer window. We shall see on that one. Could Manchester United be looking at players like Mousakidis, the Greek midfielder, the 18-year-old Greek midfielder? Manchester United and Brighton are leading the race for this. The report on this and where we're at with this one, just to update you all. We did mention him yesterday as well, but there was bigger stories to talk about yesterday. But this is the full breakdown right now. Manchester United and Brighton appear set to lock horns over Olympiacos wonder kid Christos Mousakidis after he won an esteemed award. He won the Tutto Sports Golden Boy Web winner, which honours the best under-21 players competing in Europe after earning over 1 million votes from fans across the world. So one of the best prospects in Europe is basically what this award is saying. Both Brighton and Manchester United have been eyeing the youngster for over a year after he burst onto the scene with Olympiacos and are keeping tabs on Mustakitis ahead of the January transfer window. Mustakitis' market value starts at 13.2 million, but his asking price is expected to be multiplied by January. Now, the only interesting thing in this is that the Carlos Baleba situation creeps into this. Remember when I was talking yesterday, and this is what I was trying to explain. Brighton have a model where they will sell players. Baleba wanting to only go to Manchester United is a problem for Brighton because they can't create a bidding war. They have a price set for Carlos Baleba, but Manchester United now are approaching this in a completely different way. So Brighton would want to bring in a replacement for Carlos Baleba. Christos Mustakitis would be the perfect Brighton player to bring in. Another 18-year-old that they can mould into another multi-million pound signing for somebody else to fund their bank accounts and fit into the model that Brighton have with transfers. Manchester United going in for him is, I feel, basically another angle and a blocker on Brighton really pushing Manchester United on Baleba, because if United buy Mustakitis, then that's another player coming in that area. That'll be two 18-year-old holding midfielders bought in one transfer window, because we've already got Orozco, who isn't as proven, obviously, not playing first-team football like Mustakitis, but still the same age. Another 18-year-old here for holding midfield. You could even bring Bouadi into this from Lille. Another 18-year-old. They're trying to get ahead of the Brightons of this world, trying to stop them getting hold of these younger players earlier. Now, it's different coming into Man United than it is to Brighton. Obviously, the expectation level is 20 times higher. I don't care what anybody says. It is. You don't get the freedom you would at Brighton at Manchester United. And it's always going to be scrutinised. Every single decision United make gets scrutinised, and transfers in particular. And if you are going out and spending upwards of 20, possibly 30 million on an 18-year-old, I think most people would expect that player to then be knocking on the first team door and potentially looking to start games for Manchester United. This, I think, is where we're at right now with this. Manchester United have got how many midfielders have we spoke about now on their radar? We know that there are multiple options at different ages and different levels, different price tags, from all the way up to 100 million down to, like we're talking here, a Mustakitis, who is probably a 20 to 30 million pound player. I just feel like Manchester United are, I think they've got a list of players, but I think they're covering themselves here. I think if they make a play for Mustakitis, then I think they're backing Brighton up against the wall a little bit, because this would be the natural replacement for Carlos Baleba. I think this is how Brighton are trying to push it. And if Brighton hold firm with Baleba and United don't want to pay that fee, they'll just say, fine. And then they've got a player that doesn't want to be there, that wants to go to Manchester United, that they thought they were guaranteed to sell, that isn't selling. United have multiple other options to Baleba. That's the point I'm trying to make here. They're not going to buckle at that price that Brighton want. There is no way from where we are now, from what happened in the summer to the form of Carlos Baleba now, with other targets clearly on the radar for Manchester United, that United are going to spend anywhere near £100 million for Carlos Baleba. It is not going to happen. I don't think there's anyone out there in world football that would pay £100 million for Carlos Baleba anymore. So United having other options lined up, I think, should give all Manchester United fans that confidence that we're not going to be rinsed here by Brighton. I think that we do need to be looking at other players besides Carlos Baleba. Again, don't want to make it sound like I'm putting Baleba down and taking away any qualities he's got, but I'm sorry. I don't want United to spend that amount of money on a player just because Brighton have this model. It's like, yeah, you've got that model, and I think this season and this summer it's going to trip Brighton up, because no one's going to pay 100 million for Baleba. Not one of these other options like we've spoken about on the market. And Baleba isn't even in form right now. So I think United here are in a very comfortable position going in to the summer transfer window. If they went for Zirkzee in January, I'd expect him to actually feature. Now, obviously, this is just starting to bubble up and there is nothing significant on this. I'm not going to start telling you that we're in and bids are being made. I mean, last night we were told that there's already a bid gone in on Adam Wharton. That broke from nowhere from Indy Kelly, and I actually don't think anyone's believing that story, to be honest. But someone like Zirkzee, I think, would be definitely someone Manchester United would look at and go for. He fits the model of what United want. He's been scouted for over a year. Vivel is in charge of all of this, and again, it's a younger player. And like what Mark Ogden said, and there's a lot I disagreed with what he said last night, I do believe that Manchester United's era of buying older players on substantial fees and big wages are gone. And if you want to lower that wage bill, then players like this are probably where you would be looking. I just think that this could be one player alongside maybe two more midfielders that United bring in. Again, I don't know if we're going to go for him. I can't say we are. But I'm just looking at this now and I'm seeing these stories being reported and I'm thinking United do have everything in order here. And it's encouraging to see that United have got other options and they're not just going down the road of we have to go and get Carlos Baleba. He's the only one that we want. He wants to come to Manchester United, so we got to get him. Still doesn't make the player the perfect player, even if he wants to go to Manchester United. Right, let's get some more comments in on all of that news regarding the midfield situation. Where are you at right now with it? Are you waiting it out? Actually, it is one question for the live chat right now. And do get involved in the comments as well later on. In terms of January, if the right option isn't there, are you happy for United to take this stance and wait it out? Bringing anybody in isn't always the right answer. If there wasn't anyone there that United felt was worth it or they could get the right price for, would you be all right with United walking away from it? That's a tough question, that. It's a very tough question because you would then say, well, if United are backing Ruben, you go out and make it happen. You're Man United, go out and put a bid on the table that club cannot refuse. Because Ruben needs backing in January. We need another midfielder. And I'm not trying to convince you with that last bit there saying that we need to back Ruben Amorim or anything like that. But honestly, looking at it, I'm not confident that United can get into the top 5, which I think is doable, if we didn't give Ruben another midfielder in January. It's just my own personal opinion. And obviously, don't say the same thing as I am. Everyone's got their own opinions. And get it into the comment section and let me know what you're thinking. Everton match is Mainoo's chance to play, but Bruno in false 9 and Mainoo in mid with Casemiro. I don't think he wants to do it. I think this is why we need that midfielder. I think you just proved the point right there. I don't think he trusts Mainoo and Casemiro. I don't think they've got the legs to run that midfield. They definitely can't run it against a 3-man Everton midfield that David Moyes is going to play. I just don't see how that works for us. Let's see what else we've got comment-wise. I never rated Zirkzee. It's like he has a locked here in syndrome on the pitch. Locked in syndrome. What is that? Some might say Gallagher only wants an England spot. I wouldn't. I like to roll with that, says Stu. Baleba isn't worth 100 million. No, he's not. I know that. Brighton cannot keep a Baleba. His head has been turned. There is no turning back now. He will be sold in the summer, if not in January, says Manish. January would be interesting. Baleba needs a big second half of the season to be worth more than 50 million in the summer, says Andrew. Big opinions here coming through on Carlos Baleba. United shouldn't go near Baleba for 100 million. There's better out there for less money. Anderson at United could use 100 million on a few players. A point there from Stephen made. Not many people in on the Carlos Baleba situation at the moment. Not convinced at all by him. And I get it. His form has been poor so far this season. It has. He's been completely out of it. Joe says, hi Adam, I am up for more midfielders, but I would like us to spend less in that area and get Dalot out, replaced that and another striker, as I worry for Šeško, mate. Okay, both areas of the pitch there you've described there, Joe, I think need improvement for Man United. I just think the investment has to come in the engine room, and that is midfield. That's the part of this formation for Ruben that links up everything. When you've got a decent defence and you've got a decent forward line, which we have got, I don't care what anybody says, and you've got a missing piece in the middle, it makes both areas of the pitch look average. The midfield is key. The midfield is massive for Manchester United. And you need 2 top quality players in midfield if you're going to play 2. There's nothing that you can do that's going to make this work with what we've got consistently. And I don't mean that against any of the players. None of them are used to playing this system with the players that we've got. And their characteristics and their profiles don't fit this system in midfield. It's as simple as that. Everywhere else we're starting to get things tick and work. And we are just, I think we're carrying the midfield a little bit at the moment. And that's no disrespect to Casemiro and Bruno, who I think have been decent these last 5 games. Casemiro in particular has really stood up for Manchester United. And when he leaves the pitch, you can clearly see the drop-off in what Man United are dealing with. So I do think we're carrying the midfield. I think that investment is crucial for Manchester United in January. Definitely in the summer anyway. But it's going to be very awkward. In terms of the Semenyo one, quickly, Antoine Semenyo did reject Manchester United and Spurs, apparently, in the summer. And so I don't know where that stands in terms of if United went back in or anything like that. So, yeah, that's just a story coming out. Indy Kelly has broke that one. I mean, there's nothing breaking about it. I think everyone knew there was an approach from Manchester United for Antoine Semenyo in the summer, but look, I don't know if United are going to go back in for him. I don't know if they've got their stall set out and they know what they need to do and they need to go and get the midfield area sorted. Can you turn down the opportunity to bring in a Prem-proven quality player at that price? This is what Man United would have done in the past. I've said this plenty of times. We would have been looking at Semenyo right now as an option. I think we definitely would. Let's get some more comments in. It's a shame we have this system because, in my opinion, we have the best midfield depth in the league for a midfield 3. I wouldn't go that far, Jake. Not in the league anyway. But it would help the midfield if we were playing a 3. And we have got players that could actually work in a 3-man midfield. A 4-3-3 for Man United right now would fit so many of these players so much better. It would fit Bruno better. You could have a midfield of Bruno, Mainoo and Casemiro. Play Bruno on the left, Casemiro in the middle and Mainoo on the right. And you could have Šeško and Mbumo and Ahmad or Cunha or Mounts in that front 3. One of them's going to miss out. One of the 10s is going to miss out in this system. That's all you could say. Fullback-wise, you've got Dorgu and Mazraoui, who are natural fullbacks, not wing-backs. Even Dalot would probably play better in a back 4. And then you're stuck then with how many different centre-backs to choose from. Yeah, I think we would be putting out our forward line and our defence to play a 4-3-3. I think what we're trying to find here, and it says everything, doesn't it? We're trying to find a way to get our midfielders in, but really are the midfielders as good as the defenders and the forwards that we've got? And the system helps us get more forwards into the team who are our better players and more defenders in who are probably our better players for that control of the game, I feel. And that's the problem that you've got. I think once we sort out the midfield and we bring in the right type of players this summer, January, whatever it may be, I think we will find that we have got a really good squad for the system that Ruben wants to play in that formation. So that, I think, is how United are trying to develop it. It looks like that's what they're trying to do anyway. Blaber is a United fan. I don't blame him for what he's clearly doing. He is playing his part to make things happen. I'm not sure on that, Gray. I'll be honest, mate. I don't like that attitude from a professional footballer. Whether you're a fan or not, you're professional first and foremost, and you have to put it out there on the pitch for whoever you're playing for. And that, I think, is how most clubs would look at players. Like, his attitude after not getting a particular move, how he adapts to it. I wouldn't want a player that's deliberately playing bad or is trying to make something happen. Like, don't get me wrong. If the player is pushing the club to move for a move and wants to go and is putting a transfer request and doing all the right things, then yeah, I'll go with that. But he has to also be putting everything in on the pitch as well. I mean, look at Mark Gehi, for instance. That there tells you everything in terms of leadership, quality, professionalism. That guy, the way that he's playing now, the way that he's performed this season, after not getting that move when it was pretty much done. I mean, that there is the example, I think, of a proper professional footballer. That's the type of character I would like in my side anyway. I don't know about you lot. If Baleba is deliberately underperforming to get his own way, stay a million miles away from him, says Andrew. If Parrott keeps this up, he's getting a big club. Good luck to the lad. At the scenes, brilliant scenes for that injury time winner against Hungary for the Republic of Ireland. Wow. I've watched all the videos and social media clips of all of the Irish watching that game. It's epic. Moments like that in football are brilliant. I love that. Scenes, limbs, brilliant. Absolutely love that. And you know what? You don't get much of that in international football, so it was good to see. It was brilliant to see. And yeah, you're right. Well done to the lad. Madel says, imagine Baleba goes to United and 2 years later, Madrid come in for him. Baleba can do one. I don't think he's necessarily going to go to Madrid because Madrid come in. I mean, we've seen this with the likes of Lenny Yoro. Manchester United, in being organised now and really putting their project out there and promoting the structure that they've now got at the club, I think are attracting a lot of players. It's like Baleba only wants to go United. You could argue he's a United fan, yeah, of course, but Lenny Yoro had Real Madrid there knocking on the door, ready to go, and he chose United. Yeah, you could say, yeah, it's because of the money. But let's not forget, Lenny Yoro's contract isn't going to change for 6 years. He could become an absolute will beater and still be on just over 100k a week for the next 5 years. So I think United played it well. I really did play it well. So yeah, I'm happy with a Manchester United setup right now. I'm happy with the way that we've got everything moving off the pitch. I think it looks promising is what I will say for United going forward anyway. Just getting through the other news and everything else that's actually happening around Manchester United right now. We've covered the Benjamin Šeško story, what that means for Joshua Zirkzee. Apparently Roma, by the way, are ready to spend 30 million on Joshua Zirkzee. That's another story coming out from Italy, just to add to what we've already spoken about this morning already. United going head-to-head with Brighton for Mouzakitis from Olympiacos. Could that determine what happens with Carlos Baleba? That could potentially be a January move for United. We'll see on that one. As it stands, just so we're completely up to date, ESPN last night said that United have got no intention of strengthening the midfield. They're waiting for the summer. Will Ruben still be in a job by the summer if United don't strengthen now and get into Europe next season? That's a question I would ask automatically after that statement from ESPN. Manchester United wanting to lower their wage bill by £1 million a week. Well, that's easiest thing ever. If you get rid of Casemiro, Sancho, Rashford and Maguire, that's job done straight away. And all look like they're leaving already, so that's no big story there. Manchester United positioning themselves for all players. Elliot Anderson's position, by the way, is that it's better and easier transfer in the summer. United and Newcastle will go head-to-head. If United get in Europe, I think word is that United will get Elliot Anderson if they go in for him. That's where we're at right now. If United get in Europe, there's a good chance that they're going to take the place of Newcastle and Nottingham Forest in doing so, and therefore lowering the price because of Nottingham Forest not being in Europe, and obviously helping us get Elliot Anderson because we're in Europe and Newcastle are not. So that's the stance on Elliot Anderson. The story that came out last night on Adam Wharton, I'm just going to shelf that completely from Indy Cali. I don't think Manchester United have made a bid already for Adam Wharton. I'm not saying I don't want Adam Wharton. I've always had the same stance. At the moment, he is, in terms of the news and all the talk, quite a bit down on the list for Manchester United, I would say. And I would go off what Romano and Ornstein, Ben Jacobs and a few others have said around Baleba right now, and Anderson. They're the two that we're keeping our eye on. And if Wharton comes in and there is a real story that I think is genuine to talk about, I will bring up the Adam Wharton one. But I don't believe that the story on Wharton has anything about it. January moves for João Gomez and Conor Gallagher are still on and are potentially there, but incredibly difficult to get over the line is the word out at the moment. So that on top of obviously Manchester United outgoings, still the same stance with Mainoo and of course Joshua Zirkzee. United are at this moment in time, according to representatives around and correspondence for Manchester United from certain websites and publications, they are not for sale. So they don't want to move these players on. We'll see if that changes when the transfer window opens and what opportunities come about. There is no guarantee that Semenyo will go to Liverpool, but there is more talk on him going and wanting Liverpool. But the definite story and the 100% guaranteed one at the moment is that Antoine Semenyo wants out in January from Bournemouth, and the price is set at 65 million. That is set in stone, and there's nothing Bournemouth can do about it. That was the news that David Ornstein of The Athletic broke last night. He is available. It just depends whether or not he fancies United or Liverpool. And if you were looking at this from the outside, and we took our red-tinted United glasses off right now, the appealing move this season would be to go to play at Liverpool in the Champions League. I get what people have said in the chat, and I've said the same thing. Why would you want to move to Liverpool when there's so much competition there and there's not even a guaranteed starting place for you? Because you've got Mo Salah, you've got Ekitike, you've got Gakpo. You've got so many players there fighting for the same positions. He isn't going to play up front. I don't see him being one of the wing-back type players with what they've got in there either. I'm trying to build a case here and strengthen Man United's cause here in getting Antoine Semenyo, but look, I'm still a little bit, I don't know, is where I'm at. Can't risk not getting some reinforcement before the summer, says Babs. Babs, I know. I just feel like I'm looking at all of the news. I'm trying to believe in it. I'm trying to think that there is something that could happen. I'm not fully convinced is all I'm saying at the moment. I'm not. We are almost at 200 likes, by the way, everybody, which is fantastic. Please do get them likes in, everybody, if you're enjoying the show. And make sure that you do hit that subscribe button as well. ATKO says, Baleba is less dynamic or versatile than Anderson, who can create or defend wide, central, deep or forward. He can play his own role or cover in many others when others could drop into the back three. When he's older, he could drop into the back three. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think United need to worry about that with the age that he is right now. But still, I think he would be playing midfield role going into his 30s, which is nearly a decade away. Question from Andrew. Adam, Semenyo or a midfielder in January? Midfielder. All day. I know Semenyo's a hard one to let go, but I'm taking a midfielder. We need midfield reinforcement, and we are not that bad up front. Look, the goals are going in. I just think defensively we need to shore up a bit. And I think having a better, consistent midfield in front of them will help the defence as well, because we'll control games for longer. And we won't have these mad spells in games where we're just conceding goals and gluts and in twos and threes at different times. It's really frustrating being a Man United fan, watching us play better, which we are, and then conceding goals in these moments in games in like twos like we are doing, which are really causing us problems. The last 3 games alone, we've done that against Brighton, Forest and Spurs, conceding 2 goals close together within 10 minutes of each other in games. The rest of the game we've been pretty much in it or in control of, and then bang, gone. And that's the concern. I think that comes from midfield and controlling the game a bit more. Having that that stability in the middle definitely allows you to keep hold of the ball confidently, and teams are not taking a risk and pushing on to Manchester United and seeing what they can get out of it, like teams have done. Like Brighton went Hail Mary, Forest went for it at the start of that half, Spurs ended up just throwing it because United weren't keeping hold of the ball. And teams and oppositions then gather more and more confidence going forward because they know that Man United are not going to harm them. So they start to push further forward. If United control games better, I think the defence would be better. And that's why I would go for the midfielder and leave Semenyo. As much as it pains me, because I absolutely do rate Semenyo. I think he's a beast. Can I be greedy and ask for both? A lone midfielder and Semenyo. Stop the Baleba hate. This is a young lad. Don't forget that. All the hate in here unnecessary. Remember, class is permanent. Form is temporary. I'll be too honest to that. I get what you're saying, Lee. I don't think it's hate. I think it's fair criticism that Carlos Baleba has really dropped off in form. Look, I'm not saying that Carlos Baleba isn't a good player. I think he is. But we do have to talk about his form this season. I think it's quite right that people are criticising his football at the moment because he hasn't been good enough. And this is the thing that Man United have done before. Like, we need to be buying players that are going to be able to handle what's coming. Said before at the start of the season, don't solve the central midfield. We won't get Europe second. We need to stop conceding 2 goals a game, or we are not winning many games this season, needing to score 3. I would like to score 3 every game, no, Carl. That would be lovely. Maybe keep a clean sheet every now and then. I think, has there been any game this season where I've sat there and gone, I'm quite comfortable? Sunderland at home. That game, I was sat there and I was like, I'm not on the edge of my seat. I feel comfortable. I should have been comfortable against Brighton, but we ended up making that more difficult as well. Yeah, I'm hoping that we're going to get these games soon where we can just be sat there as fans like 2 or 3-0 up, seeing the game out. Yes, please. Give me a bit of that going into this into this festive fixture pile-up coming up. And yeah, being able to bring substitutes on when we're comfortable. I mean, only Man United would be able to be 3-0 up in a game and test bringing someone like Mainoo on in a number 6 and it go completely wrong and then be panicking and having to bring another midfielder on and push Mainoo further forward to see the game out. Madness. Only United. But look, it's Tuesday. It is obviously the end of internationals. Everyone is finished today. And then it is now, from tomorrow, full steam ahead, full look ahead to the Everton game on the Monday night. Less than a week away before United are back in action, and then it is non-stop action all the way through. So really looking forward to that. Don't forget, this week we've got Ruben's press conference. I'll try and look ahead and find out whether it is on Thursday or Friday. I think it might be Friday this week with us playing on the Monday. So we'll see on that one. But yeah, it'll be good to be talking proper football again, and I think we're going to get, I mean, we've already had the Šeško update on it. I think big questions for Ruben this week is obviously Leach's participation in the squad, and then of course I think we're now going to start near enough every single press conference or opportunity the media are going to be quizzing Ruben on game time for certain players, because we're at that stage of the season now, aren't we, where everybody's looking ahead to how much game they're going to play. Is that a sign as to what is going to happen in January? United need reinforcements. The AFCON question will keep on coming up. And yeah, it's exciting. Question to you, is Baleba doing a Rashford? Is Baleba doing a Rashford? No, not by any stretch. I won't even categorise Baleba in that type of player at all. Rashford is one on his own, and you all know my opinion of Marcus Rashford. I'm just happy that he's playing well over in Barcelona, and that's as much as I'll say on him. Baleba isn't Marcus Rashford. I don't think he is at all. 6/11 games, we have conceded 2 or more goals. It's not sustainable to keep that record and stay in the top 6. I think we do need to start getting a few more clean sheets as well. And with that, I think midfield brings that for us, which is why I was making the point about midfield being more important than bringing in another forward this January. I think that brings that stability. that is our show this morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Please pop a like on the video if you are enjoying the content. Make sure you also hit that subscribe button as well. Positivity, full steam ahead. Šeško is back. Zirkzee and Mainoo are going to have to wait in line. Lots of games coming up for Manchester United. Internationals finished today. Everyone should be happy. Get your comments in below, everybody. Would you go for Semenyo, or would you just stick to the plan and get that central midfielder? Like the video, share the video, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see you all later on with all the updates. Cheers, everybody.